The summer air was thick with the scent of freshly cut grass and distant barbecue smoke as I pedaled down the neighborhood bike path. My best friend, Jason, rode beside me, both of us sweating under the last golden rays of the setting sun. It had been a long time since we'd gone for a ride like this, just two guys, escaping responsibilities for an hour. I was mid-sentence, talking about something trivial, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Normally, I would have ignored it, but something about the timing felt off. I skidded to a stop, balancing the bike between my legs as I pulled out my phone. The name on the screen sent a jolt through my spine. Emma, Sophia's best friend. I frowned. Emma and I weren't exactly close. In fact, she'd always been more my wife's friend than mine. Why was she texting me? I tapped the notification. I can't keep this secret anymore. Sophia is cheating on you, with Jason's wife's husband. My breath caught in my throat. Jason pulled up beside me, panting. What's up? I turned to him, my mind racing. Should I say it? Should I wait? Was this some kind of cruel joke? Emma just sent me something weird, I said cautiously, still staring at the words on my screen, hoping they would change if I looked at them long enough. Jason wiped sweat from his forehead. Weird how? I hesitated, but then sighed. She says Sophia's cheating on me. Jason's expression hardened. What? With, I swallowed hard, then forced the words out. Your wife's husband. Jason blinked. Then he laughed. A full-bodied, from-the-gut laugh. I stared at him, stunned. What the hell is funny? Man, that's gotta be the dumbest prank I've ever heard. He shook his head, still chuckling. You really think my wife, Amy, would cheat on me? And with Sophia? That's insane. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But something about Emma's message gnawed at me. I'm just gonna check, I said, pocketing my phone. Emma's drunk sometimes, but she's never lied to me before. Maybe she's mad at Sophia or something, but I need to hear it from her. Jason sighed. Fine. Let's go. We rode straight to Emma's house, our bike slicing through the evening air. I had no idea that the next 10 minutes would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. We skidded to a stop in front of Emma's house, our bikes barely making a sound against the pavement. The porch light flickered, casting long shadows across the lawn. Jason exhaled sharply, running a hand through his short-cropped hair. She better have a damn good explanation, he muttered. I knocked. Hard. For a moment, there was silence. Then the door swung open. Emma stood there, barefoot, her blonde hair in a messy bun. She held a half-empty wine glass in one hand and a phone in the other. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Hey. I wasted no time. Emma. What the hell was that text? Jason crossed his arms. Tell me you were joking. Emma let out a bitter laugh and took a sip of wine. I wish I was. Something inside me sank. Jason scoffed. Come on, Emma. You're wasted. You really expect us to believe that Sophia and Amy are? Not Amy, Emma interrupted, her eyes locking onto mine. Sophia is sleeping with Amy's husband. Jason's face went slack. Mark? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma nodded, stepping back into her house and waving us in. You might want to sit down. I hesitated, my whole body tense, but Jason stormed past me, his footsteps heavy on the hardwood floor. I followed, my head spinning. Inside, the living room smelled of red wine and lavender candles. The coffee table was littered with takeout containers and a nearly empty bottle of Chardonnay. Emma plopped onto the couch, running a hand down her face. I stayed standing. Start talking. Emma sighed, setting her glass down. I wasn't supposed to tell you. But I'm done keeping secrets for people who don't deserve it. She looked up at me, eyes red and glossy. Mark cheated on me. With Sophia. Jason let out a sharp breath. Jesus Christ. Emma nodded slowly, as if saying it out loud made it more real. I found out 2 weeks ago. He came home late, drunk, smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. At first, I thought, maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe I could forgive him. But then I checked his phone. She swallowed hard. I saw texts. From her. She glared at me, like I was somehow responsible. Sophia. Your perfect little wife. I felt my stomach twist. What did they say? Emma's lips curled into a humorless smile. Oh, you know. The usual. She cleared her throat and mocked a flirty tone. Last night was amazing, I can't stop thinking about you. I miss your hands on me. She scoffed. Disgusting. Jason looked like he was about to be sick. I forced my hands into fists, nails digging into my palms. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Emma's gaze softened. Because I thought maybe, just maybe, I could hurt them the way they hurt me first. I frowned. What do you mean? She hesitated, then drained the last sip of wine. I slept with someone else. To get back at Mark. Jason and I both stiffened. Emma looked at Jason, and for a split second, I thought, no. That was impossible. Then she gave a dry chuckle. Relax, Jason. It wasn't you. Jason exhaled, looking like he might pass out. Emma's eyes met mine again. It was you. The room went dead silent. Jason's head snapped toward me. What? I blinked. What are you talking about? Emma smirked, but it didn't reach her eyes. Well, not really you. She leaned forward. I slept with someone you know. Someone I knew would hurt Sophia just as much as she hurt me. My pulse pounded in my ears. And then she said it. I slept with your best friend. I turned to Jason. His face was pale. And then, everything really fell apart. Silence hung between us, thick and suffocating. Jason's face twisted in confusion, then rage. Emma, what the hell are you talking about? Emma leaned back on the couch, arms crossed, like she was finally enjoying watching someone else squirm. Oh, don't act surprised, Jason. I know how much you love playing the perfect husband. But let's be real, you haven't been one for a long time, have you? I turned to Jason, my stomach sinking. What is she saying? Jason's jaw clenched. Nothing. She's drunk and trying to cause more damage. Emma scoffed. Yeah. Then why don't you tell your best friend where you were the night Mark was working late? I stared at Jason, my heart pounding. Jason. He swallowed, avoiding my eyes. That was all the confirmation I needed. Emma gave a dry laugh. There it is. That look on your face. That moment when it all starts to make sense. She grabbed the wine bottle and poured herself another glass. Let me spell it out for you, in case your best friend is too much of a coward to admit it. She took a slow sip, then smirked. I slept with Jason. The air was sucked from the room. My head started spinning. Jason's mouth opened, then shut. His face was caught somewhere between guilt and panic. I felt like I was going to be sick. Tell me she's lying, I said, my voice low, dangerous. Jason hesitated. Listen, man, it didn't mean. I lunged. My fist connected with his jaw before I even realized I'd swung. Jason stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. The crash barely registered over the blood pounding in my ears. You were supposed to be my best friend. I roared, grabbing him by the collar. Jason shoved me back, breathing heavily. And your wife was sleeping with my best friend. I froze. Jason wiped his mouth, his jaw already bruising. Don't act like you're the only victim here, man. We were both getting played. Emma clapped slowly. Oh, this is just delicious. Two grown men tearing each other apart while their wives are out screwing around. Poetic. I turned to her, my fists still clenched. And what the hell does that make you? Emma smirked, swirling her wine. A woman scorned. And trust me, there's nothing more dangerous. Jason exhaled, rubbing his temples. All right, enough. Just tell us how long. Emma shrugged. A month. Maybe 2. I clenched my jaw. And you didn't think to, I don't know, warn me instead of sleeping with my best friend? Emma rolled her eyes. Oh, get off your high horse. I was drunk, I was furious, and I wanted to make Mark hurt. I didn't exactly plan on it. She looked at Jason, her expression turning cold. But he sure as hell didn't resist. Jason rubbed his face. Look, I screwed up, all right. But it wasn't some grand betrayal. It was a mistake, one I regret. I let out a bitter laugh. A mistake? A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is missing a birthday. You don't just, accidentally, sleep with someone's wife. Jason glared at me. Oh, and what about your wife? Huh? She's been sneaking around with Mark for months, and you didn't see a damn thing. So don't stand there acting like you're better than me. I opened my mouth to fire back, but I had nothing. Because he was right. I hadn't seen it. I had ignored the signs, convinced myself that everything was fine. And now, my entire life had been ripped apart in the span of one evening. Emma stood up, stretching like she wasn't in the middle of watching two men have an emotional breakdown. Well, I think my work here is done. Jason and I turned to her. She grinned. Now that we're all caught up, the real question is, what are we going to do about it? And just like that, a new kind of betrayal took root. Revenge. Emma's smirk lingered as she watched Jason and me stand in the wreckage of our friendship, our marriages, our lives. What do you mean, what are we going to do about it? I asked, still seething. She swirled her wine. Simple. We don't just sit back and cry about it. We hit back. Jason scoffed. And what? Sleep with each other's wives? Pretty sure they've already done that. Emma rolled her eyes. No, idiot. I mean, we make them pay. I hesitated. The idea of revenge was tempting, but I wasn't sure if I had it in me. Emma leaned in, her voice low. We expose them. Humiliate them. Make sure they feel every ounce of betrayal we did. Jason crossed his arms. And how do you suggest we do that? Emma smirked. Leave that to me. But first, we need proof. I exhaled slowly. I wasn't sure how far I was willing to go. But one thing was clear. I wasn't walking away from this without a fight. Emma wasted no time. Mark's predictable. He meets Sophia every Thursday at the same hotel. Jason scoffed. How do you know? She gave him a pointed look. Because I tracked his credit card transactions. I exhaled sharply. And what do you want us to do? Emma smirked. Catch them in the act. Get photos, videos, undeniable proof. Jason shook his head. And then what? Emma's grin widened. Then, we ruin them. I hesitated. This was dangerous. Messy. But after everything they had done. I nodded. Let's do it. Jason sighed, rubbing his temples. This is insane. But even he wasn't backing out. Emma grabbed her phone. Good. Because tomorrow night, we're going hunting. The next evening, the three of us sat in my car, parked across from the hotel Emma had mentioned. The neon vacancy sign flickered above the entrance, casting a dim red glow over the parking lot. Jason exhaled sharply. I still can't believe we're doing this. Emma smirked, holding up her phone. Believe it. And in about 20 minutes, you'll have all the proof you need. I kept my eyes on the entrance, my hands clenched around the steering wheel. Every part of me wanted to storm inside and confront them, but Emma was right, we needed proof. A black SUV pulled into the lot. Emma leaned forward. There he is. Mark stepped out first, looking around like he was making sure no one saw him. A moment later, Sophia stepped out from the passenger side. My stomach twisted. Jason's hands balled into fists. That's my wife's car. We watched as Mark placed a hand on Sophia's lower back, guiding her toward the entrance. She laughed at something he said, tilting her head back the same way she used to with me. I had seen enough. Let's move, I muttered, opening the car door. Emma grabbed my arm. Not yet. I shot her a glare. What do you mean, not yet? She pulled out her phone and clicked on a recording app. We need them to say it. To admit it. Otherwise, they'll just lie their way out of it. Jason exhaled sharply. Fine. But if he touches her one more time, I'm breaking his damn nose. We waited until they disappeared inside before following. Emma had already booked the room next door to theirs, claiming it was for a business trip. The plan was simple, Jason and I would wait by their door while Emma called Sophia, pretending to need help. If Sophia admitted where she was and who she was with, we'd have it all recorded. Emma pulled out her phone and dialed. We could hear it ringing through the thin hotel walls. A few seconds later, Sophia answered. Hey, what's up? Emma put on a shaky voice. Soph, I need to talk to you. Mark isn't home, is he? Silence. Then, Sophia's voice softened. No, he's not. Why? Emma gave Jason and me a knowing look before continuing. I think he's cheating on me. I could practically hear Sophia's breath catch. Emma, why would you think that? Emma let out a fake sniffle. Because he's been acting weird, sneaking out. I even checked his bank statements. He's been coming to this hotel every Thursday. Sophia was quiet. Then, she sighed. Emma pounced. You knew, didn't you? A long pause. Then, finally, Sophia muttered, it's not what you think. Jason clenched his fists. I held up a hand to stop him from kicking the door down. Emma's voice turned sharp. Then tell me, what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my husband is screwing my best friend. Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. Emma, please don't do this here. Emma's eyes flashed with victory. She ended the call and nodded at us. That's all we need. Jason stepped forward and pounded on the door. A few seconds later, Mark's voice called out, Who is it? Jason kicked the door open. And all hell broke loose. The door slammed open, crashing against the wall with a loud bang. Mark barely had time to react before Jason lunged. You son of a... Jason tackled him onto the bed, fists flying. Sophia screamed, scrambling to cover herself with the sheets. What the hell? I stepped inside, my hands shaking as I locked eyes with my wife. You really did it. My voice came out hoarse, broken. Mark shoved Jason off, staggering to his feet. What the hell is wrong with you? Jason wasn't listening. He threw another punch, this one catching Mark in the jaw. Mark stumbled back, clutching his face. Sophia grabbed my arm. Alex, stop this. I yanked away, my stomach twisting in disgust. Don't touch me. Her eyes widened, her lips trembling. It's not what it looks like. Emma laughed from the doorway. Oh, please. That excuse is older than the Bible. She held up her phone. By the way, we recorded everything. So don't bother lying. Mark wiped the blood from his mouth, his cocky demeanor cracking. You guys are insane. Jason charged again, but I grabbed his arm. Not here. Not like this. He breathed heavily, eyes wild with rage. Finally, he shoved Mark backward and stepped away. Sophia clutched the sheets, tears forming in her eyes. Alex, please. I shook my head, my heart pounding in my chest. You destroyed us. She covered her mouth, but I had nothing left to say. I turned and walked out, Jason and Emma close behind me. And just like that, our marriages were over. The three of us walked out of the hotel in silence, the weight of everything crashing down around us. Jason was still breathing hard, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. Emma, on the other hand, looked almost satisfied, like she had just watched the final act of a tragic play she had written herself. I felt nothing. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the cold realization that the woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with had thrown it all away for someone I considered family. The moment we stepped into the parking lot, Jason turned and slammed his fist into the hood of his car. I should have killed him. Emma sighed. Would have made for a great headline. Man murders best friend over cheating wife. Jason shot her a glare. You think this is funny? Emma smirked. No. But it's over now. They can't talk their way out of this. She lifted her phone. I'm sending the recording to Mark's work. Let's see how his company feels about employing a guy who screws his clients' wives. I finally found my voice. No. She blinked. No. I swallowed hard, staring at the ground. We're done. We got what we came for. I don't need revenge. I just want to be free of her. Emma scoffed. Wow. That's noble. But me? I want him to suffer. I wasn't going to stop her. I didn't care what happened to Mark anymore. Jason exhaled sharply. So what now? Emma tossed her hair back. Now. I file for divorce. And I do it first. She turned to me. And you should too. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Divorce. That was real. That was the end of everything I had built with Sophia. Jason rubbed his jaw, still seething. Yeah. I'm done too. Emma crossed her arms. Good. Let's make sure they don't get the satisfaction of dumping us first. I stared at the hotel door, my heart aching. Sophia would come home. She would beg. She would cry. But I wouldn't be there. I took a deep breath. Let's do it. I sat in my car outside the house I once called home. The place where I had built my life with Sophia, where we had made memories, where I had trusted her. Now, it felt like a prison I had been unknowingly locked in for years. Jason had already gone home, but Emma had stayed with me, waiting in her own car down the street. She had insisted that I shouldn't face Sophia alone. I finally stepped out and walked up the driveway. My hands trembled as I unlocked the front door, stepping inside. The house was quiet, too quiet. Then I heard it. Soft crying from upstairs. I exhaled, bracing myself for what was coming. When I reached our bedroom, I found Sophia sitting on the bed, her face buried in her hands. She looked up when she heard me, her eyes red and swollen. Alex, she whispered, standing up. I held up a hand. Don't. She flinched. Please, just listen. I laughed bitterly. Listen. Like how I listened to you every time you lied to me. Every time you pretended to be somewhere else when you were screwing Mark. Her face crumpled. I was going to tell you. I felt my anger flare. When? After you had your fun. After you decided whether I was still worth keeping. She stepped forward, but I backed away. It wasn't just sex, she said, her voice desperate. It was more complicated than that. I clenched my jaw. You mean it meant something? That makes it worse, Sophia. She shook her head violently. I love you, Alex. I got lost, I made a mistake. I scoffed. A mistake? A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, not a months-long affair with my best friend's wife's husband. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was lonely. You were always busy, always tired. Mark was, there. I never meant for it to happen. I ran a hand over my face, trying to keep my emotions in check. You had choices. Every time you met him, every time you lied to me, you chose this. She was openly sobbing now. Alex, please. I don't want to lose you. I let out a shaky breath, my heart hammering in my chest. You already did. Her face contorted in pain. Please, don't do this. I shook my head. You did this. You threw us away. I turned and walked toward the door. She ran after me, grabbing my arm. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. I yanked free, my voice cracking. It's too late. Her sobs grew louder, but I kept walking. I walked out of that room, down the stairs, and out the front door. I didn't stop. I got in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly they ached. Then I saw Emma in my rearview mirror, still parked down the street, watching. I took a deep breath and drove toward her. I rolled down my window, my voice hollow. I'm done. She nodded. Good. Now let's make it official. The next morning, Jason, Emma, and I met at the courthouse. We filed our divorce papers together. I wasn't sure if it made me feel better, but at least I wasn't alone in it. And as I signed the final document, one thought echoed in my mind. I was free. Divorce was supposed to bring closure. Freedom. A fresh start. But the truth? It just left a void. It had been 3 months since that night at the hotel. 3 months since I walked away from Sophia, filed the paperwork, and cut her out of my life. She tried to reach me, calls, texts, emails. All of them were ignored. I moved into a small apartment across town, left behind the house that now felt like a graveyard of broken promises. Jason and Emma. They both finalized their divorces within weeks. Emma took everything from Mark, half his assets, his car, even his reputation after she leaked the hotel recording to his company. Jason handled his pain differently. He buried himself in work, hitting the gym obsessively, drinking more than he should. We talked sometimes, but it was never the same. We were bonded by betrayal, but nothing else remained. Then, there was Sophia. I ran into her today. It was a total accident, just a random grocery store on a Wednesday night. I had grabbed a cart, minding my own business, when I heard her voice. Alex. I froze. She was standing a few feet away, clutching a basket. She looked thinner, paler. Her once perfect hair was unkempt, and her eyes held a sadness that hadn't been there before. I should have walked away. But I didn't. We stood there, neither of us knowing what to say. Finally, she broke the silence. I miss you, she whispered. I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. Don't. She stepped closer. I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I still love you. I let out a bitter chuckle. You don't love me, Sophia. You love the idea of me. The safety, the stability. But if you really loved me, you never would have done what you did. Tears welled up in her eyes. I was stupid. Selfish. I cut her off. It doesn't matter anymore. Her lips trembled. I just want you to know. I regret everything. I looked at her for a long moment, searching for any lingering feelings. Love. Hate. Anything. But I felt nothing. Goodbye, Sophia, I said simply. Then, I walked away. And this time, she didn't chase after me. That night, I sat in my empty apartment, staring out the window at the city lights. The pain was still there, but it was quieter now. I wasn't sure what my future looked like, but for the first time in a long time. It was mine to decide.